all, and welcome back to Inside the Tauntaun, a Star Wars podcast where we get to the guts of what makes Star Wars meaningful to us. I'm Alyssa Simmons, and I'm joined today, by my two pals, Dino Nicandros.
Yeah.
And Daniel Dawson.
Hello there.
And today we remain outside the Tauntaun as we continue our discussion on Marvel and Disney Plus series The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Episode 2, The Star-Spangled Man, directed by Carrie Skoglund, written by Michael Castelline. Yep, that's his name. And by God, we're Marvel fans.
I thought they smelled bad on the outside.
Episode 2 of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
You just rhymed. You said woohoo and then the number 2. Wow.
Yes, I'm gifted. What can I say?
Gift.
That's a word.
You know what else is a gift?
This
show. It's great.
Oh, yes. I thought you were going to say the present.
What?
Yeah,
Where does that come from?
You know, because there's no more present like the gift. And no more gift like the present. Anyways, let's talk about this show. You
can't see it, but Dino is squinting his eyes so hard at us right now.
Dino's left the building a little bit.
My eyes are stuck in a squint.
Woo. Okay, well, let's just frickin' get into this thing because there's a lot to chat about. Easter eggs galore and lots of fun, meaty stuff. So let's talk about it.
What do we think of our brand new Captain America?
Yeah,
We're so excited about him.
The new Captain America kind of broke the internet because people hate him so much.
Which is so funny. It's so funny. He does look a lot like the grandpa from Up. I mean,
he has the chin of the grandpa.
Got that chin.
He's got a little bit of an underbite, and anyways, I want to say though at the top,
that's an Easter egg, by the way. His underbite.
Yeah, you're just calling anything an Easter egg now.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, next Sunday is Easter.
Very good.
That's
So the episode starts, and I was honestly expecting him to kind of be like a jerk right off the bat.
Right.
But
and I think
not.
that
they're humanizing him, and I don't like it.
I don't like it. But it's so smart because the writers knew that we knew that he was bad news, so they're like, let's paint him to be a good person at first.
He right off the bat is showing that he has good intentions. He's like, I just want to be the best Captain America that I can be, and
be all that you can be.
And to be honest, Sam and Bucky are kind of being 14-year-old dummies.
Oh yeah, they're jerks.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
I understand they are upset because he has the shield now, and they're Steve is their guy.
Right.
But
Sam has many things he deservedly should be upset about. And we'll talk about all of them.
Correct.
For real. This is not one of them.
No,
you handed it over, dude.
Right.
He did, yeah. And I think that's obviously a big theme through this episode is he felt that was the right thing to do. And now they're having and now they're having to live with it.
The consequences, yeah.
The thing that really upset me the most is that Sam and Bucky basically just leave the new captain and his pal, who we learn is Battlestar.
Oh,
so that's exciting.
Info drop.
They basically just leave them to kind of deal with the Flag Smashers. And so for me, I was like, all right, guys. I mean, I know they're kind of halted off of the truck and everything, but so we're getting a little bit more info on the Flag Smashers, and I say a little bit generously because I still feel like there's a lot of information about them that we don't know that we should at least kind of know some of by now.
Yeah.
we know. Well, first of all, I just want to say that they absolutely are the villains from Legend of Korra. If you have watched that show,
yeah,
they absolutely are the Equalists and Red Lotus combined.
Sure.
And yeah, I mean, we just don't really know exactly what their intentions are. We know that they believe that their cause is just.
To me, it feels. Yeah, I think that's legit. They're painting with gray colors for sure.
Yeah.
Like it just like these guys are somewhere. At least seemingly to me, at my first glance, it feels like they're somewhere in the middle. They're not good. They're not bad. They're people with good intentions that are maybe going about it in the wrong way, or maybe not.
Well, yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, their whole thing is they think. So the what is the government agency called? The GRC, the Global Repatriation.
GRC.
Mm-hmm. Yes, which is basically the people that are like trying to help the people that were blipped, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of fit back into society, and the Flag Smashers are have felt completely ignored. That nothing is being done for the people that actually survived the blip, and now have to accommodate half of humanity returning.
Right.
And
I thought it was actually,
in a sense,
kind of timely that. Part of their scheme in
this
this
whole
episode.
show has been very timely so far.
Yeah.
Sure.
In many ways. But like their particular scheme in this one is they're smuggling vaccines.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's they want their fair share of vaccines because of for the obvious reasons.
Yeah, so we'll get back to Flag Smashers in a sec, but we get some cool segments of the new captain, and he's clearly he's good with the shield, and you learn that he's
very good with
it.
Yeah,
we learn
almost
that he's
too good with the shield ? Because it's just, to me it says like this guy is part of that super people.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know if he has the serum yet, but in the comics he gets it.
Yeah,
so
it feels like he. Like
I don't
maybe
think,
him
well,
and his partner.
Battlestar
we
know
Galactica.
for sure. We know for sure that he hasn't had the serum yet.
Yeah.
What, we know for sure that he hasn't. You said.
Yeah, because it's hinted at several times in the episode that he does not. He's not a super.
Well, I don't know. I even if, because I don't remember him saying that he didn't. I just remember him kind of like they when they're later on they're in the car together. He's just like, come on, let's take a ride or whatever. And like, I think Bucky or Sam like mention the super soldiers, and like he kind of gives a weird look, and he's just like super soldiers, huh?
Oh,
you know I mean?
I took that weird look as like, I'm the new Captain America and I don't have super strength, and the last captain did. That's how I took the.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, Alyssa, and I kind of think
I'm sus.
Like when he went up against Carly Morgenthau, the head of the Flag Smashers, he was expecting a very easy fight, and then he gets just the crap knocked out of him, and he goes flying. And I think if I were to theorize,
he was going up against like 4 or 5 of those super soldiers, basically.
Yeah, but I mean, he got his face kicked in by her, and I think
he did.
If I was to theorize what's happening here, he's going to realize very quickly that he is overmatched,
and that he needs the super serum,
and he and
Battlestar,
Battlestar are going to need it.
Absolutely,
that's valid, and I could see that too. Some people do go both ways. Yeah, I am curious. Yeah, I'm just like, everything that he says is subject to be suspect.
Yeah, I think we'll get there. I think right now, especially early on in the episode, we're not getting any spookiness out of him.
Oh, we did though. We got that
later.
one where he says like that one line.
At the end of the episode.
Don't get in my way.
Yeah.
But you know what? He, I don't think he's going to be a villain from the perspective of Sam and Bucky, but I don't think he's a villain in the traditional like Zemo sense. I think like when he says like don't get in my way, he's telling this to people, a pair of guys who just told him not only do we not want to work with you, we work outside of U.S. jurisdiction.
Right.
And he is paid by the U.S. military. So it's kind of like, okay, well, don't cause problems because you will be hurting America's interests. So he is quite literally Captain America now.
Yeah, totally. We have some pretty funny moments in this episode. Sam's big 3 bit was really funny to me. There are 3 types of bad guys that they always face: androids, aliens, and wizards. Yep. And then there's like a silly Hobbit bit where,
I read the
Bucky's
Hobbit.
like, oh yeah, I read the Hobbit when it came out.
And
in
1937.
I just want to say too, because I remember watching the trailer for the show, and they were kind of like trying to show off their banter together. Like, oh yeah, these guys are an odd couple, and they're gonna get into some shenanigans, and it's gonna be funny. Like, just you wait. I don't know. Like, for whatever reason, when people do that in trailers, I like cross my arms so hard. I'm like, no, you're not gonna make me laugh, and it's not gonna be funny. But these guys are actually really, really, really great together.
Yes,
they absolutely are, and I think that, to be honest, the show being able to work is dependent on that.
Totally.
Well, and Kevin Feige cited the little 20-second scene in the middle of the big fight in Berlin during Civil War when the two of them are facing down Spider-Man. And he kind of hands it to him, and they end up webbed to the ground.
Yes.
And he's like, he summons Red Wing, and Red Wing takes Spider-Man for a ride, and Bucky's like, couldn't you have done that earlier? I hate you. And he said that was the genesis of the show.
That's hilarious.
That's splendid.
Yeah, totally.
They're great.
And we get some other, scene work with them. I'm going to be honest with you, the therapy scene in this episode did not work for me. I felt
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I felt like the therapy scene in the first episode was really wonderful and like very grounded and down to earth, and this therapy scene felt icky to me. I don't know why.
Well, here's the thing, and it's a little bit of a trap because I'm not sure, and maybe we'll get this in the behind the scenes, but there were parts of it that felt like they allowed them to riff, and maybe they riffed a little too hard.
Maybe.
Yeah. But yeah, because there was like a moment that maybe there was some riffing going on, but then there was some manufactured lines to sort of like help the riffing fit. Like, I think, because maybe you can tell me which line in particular made you kind of feel gross, but there was one part I was just like, oh, that felt a little manufactured. It was the staring contest portion.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I was like, it was cute.
For me, it was just like, oh, we're going to do like a couples therapy exercise with like the knees touching. And I just felt like I was in a weird acting class, like working on like Meisner. And
yeah, you're like, what actually is the purpose of this? And would you actually do that in this situation? I get that. Although, to be honest, I mean, I was giggling throughout that scene. So it definitely broke.
Yeah, I don't know what it says about me that I kind of... I found it funny in spite of what you said, Alyssa. Like, I definitely felt what you said, but I still found myself like, damn it, I like them.
Yeah, you're enjoying it.
But it's kind of what I was going off of before, is that like when I was going into the show, I was like crossing my arms really hard, like thinking like, oh, they're going to try to make me laugh by doing A,
it's like
B, and C.
I mean, it is. They're going full 90s buddy cop.
Yeah,
totally. And
then,
but they succeeded. They actually did make me laugh.
Way.
I was like, damn it.
Yeah.
They fucking did it.
Yeah. But the thing about the therapy scene that I obviously felt was useful was Bucky's line about, Steve trusted you with the shield, and if he was wrong about that, then maybe he was wrong about me. And I think that's obviously one of the main things that Bucky is struggling with on top of all of the, PTSD from being an assassin.
It's really good.
A brainwashed assassin.
For him,
So that I loved.
And to see that he's like aware of that too is
yeah.
Is
so maybe that the therapist was like, I feel like he might like word vomit out some stuff with Sam here, and that might be helpful for
sure.
Well, it's super interesting that Bucky has basically invested his self-worth in Sam's success as Captain America.
Yeah.
I mean, it's... It's a different dynamic than what I was expecting, and I think who knows if they'll go this route, and I kind of doubt they will. But I was almost expecting Bucky to have hard feelings that maybe he should have had the shield.
Oh, interesting.
But it's kind of the exact opposite. He's so invested in Sam carrying the shield, and Sam didn't want it.
Right.
And Bucky is so intent on establishing an identity without Steve. And
sure. And without Sam taking on that helm and like that, he's like, then who am I?
Right.
Yeah. I did especially like his reiterating of the second rule at the end of that whole conversation. You know, like what's the second rule again? He's just like, don't hurt anybody, I think he said, or she said.
Oh.
And it's just, I think it's up to interpretation, maybe, at least, but because I took it in several ways, because I mean, obviously he's like needs that for the future, like, oh, okay, I need to remind myself to not hurt anybody in this next thing that we're about to, you know, because he's about to go talk to what's his butt.
Mm-hmm.
But also they just had this conversation that was kind of like hurtful emotionally. You know, so I didn't even when they said the second rule in the first episode, I was just thinking about like physical hurt, but I wasn't even thinking about emotional hurt. So I was like, I don't know if that's what they were intending with the line, but that's kind of where I went with it.
Yeah.
Well, and it also kind of occurred to me that basically the look he gives her as he leaves is like, I can't promise that anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Someone's getting hurt.
Yeah. It was loaded, to say the least.
Very loaded.
So, like we said, we do get a little bit of a closer look at the Flag Smashers, who we had kind of thought possibly in the first episode that the leader was going to be Aaron Kellyman, who we know from
Enfys Nest.
Yes. So Carly Morgenthau is her character name. And when
Martin Landau,
when we first see her without the mask, Bucky thinks that she's a hostage, and then she kicks his butt a bunch.
Big time.
Yeah,
butt
this
kicker.
This scene, I want to know your thoughts about it, you two, because I thought it was strange that he got in the truck that was like facing the back of the truck was facing the front of the other truck.
Oh, totally. My very first thought when he got into it is like, does the other car?
Yeah, I was like, isn't
worried?
the person driving that car like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, maybe they're driven by robots. I don't know. But yeah, it does seem. I mean, assumedly, maybe they're just like not as well. They had to have been fucking worried because they probably even know who that person is. You know?
I didn't
like,
spend too much time thinking about it, but I did think it was kind of a weird little plot hole. Possibly.
Yeah, you would think that like they would have shown a clip of the person in the other truck, like, you know,
signaling for the rest of it or something.
Right.
I don't know.
We got somebody in the back of the truck. Burp,
I don't know.
Because it like got dramatic pretty quickly. You know, he like flings the door open. Anyhow, the Flag Smashers get away, and we see them staying in a safe house somewhere in Europe. And they're
Germany, I think, right?
Yeah, or Russia. I'm not sure exactly.
I'm
was
pretty
it Germany?
Sure it was Germany, right? Didn't they say it was Munich or no, not Munich. I can't remember, but
anyhow, and we learned that they're, you know, wanting to return things to the way they were during the blip, which was a piece of info we got during the first episode. And the motto of this group is "One World, One People."
Yeah, and that was the first time I realized that hand mark that we've seen is basically like a world inside of a hand. Like the world is like in the palm of the hand.
Right. So boop ba-doop ba-doop.
He got the whole world in his hand.
Yeah, so definitely like the vibe of this group. They're spooky, and I'm sure there's a lot more that we're gonna learn about them.
Yeah, but
obviously.
it's at the same time though, there was like at least for me, it almost felt like they were also setting up a sense of empathy too.
Yeah.
Like you should empathize with these people because of what they've been through, sort of.
Yeah, and you see that from Carly when she kind of the plane heist situation is happening.
Yeah.
Later on, and she knows that like one of her friends, one of her people, is like basically sacrificing himself for their safety, and she is like crying on the plane. She's like, he just died so that we could get away safely. So there's definitely some stuff. I'm excited to know more of their like motives, other than just like they liked it better during the blip.
Well, and whoever this power broker is,
that's the crux.
Is going to be that's the villain of this show.
Absolutely.
And the Flag Smashers are being hunted by this person. You see that the text message that says you stole something that doesn't belong to you, and
now I'm going to.
So I was talking about vaccines earlier.
Yeah.
So vaccines for what? I mean, because we haven't really.
And it occurs to me. Is this like a quote-unquote vaccines, but they stole super soldier serum from the sky?
That's what I thought.
Could be. Either that or like, is there a cure for like the super serum? I
don't think they're looking for a cure. I think they're jacking up some of their friends, because you remember like a couple of these guys, the guy that sacrifices himself is clearly jacked up on it.
Totally. Yeah.
So I think vaccine means serum.
Just stole a bunch of super serum.
I think you're right.
I mean, if that's what it is, there's a whole lot of it. Wow.
Yeah. Scary.
Wowie wow.
And then we find ourselves in what I think is the most interesting segment of this episode, where they go to Baltimore, and Bucky takes Sam to meet someone. And
Good morning, Baltimore.
Tracy Turnblad is nowhere in sight, thank God. And this someone who he wants him to meet ends up being Isaiah Bradley.
Oh, God,
who
so good in this.
We thought maybe he was coming, and here he is.
They did not. This is just, again, a great example of these TV shows just not wasting any time, and it is nice.
Yeah, it's great. So we learned that he was a war veteran who was able to stop the Winter Soldier during the Korean War.
Basically ripped his arm off.
Yeah, because he was is a super soldier.
Yeah.
And we unfortunately have to learn that Isaiah was put in prison after his service ended, so that he could be experimented on and tested.
And this was by where he points out Bucky's people, which at the time were Hydra.
Right. So he's really angry.
But 30 years,
obviously.
Oh my God.
He's really...
Well, I don't believe it was Hydra that imprisoned him, but he
you
said
don't think so?
He said they were in on it as well. He said even your people were. So he could be referring to the fact that these were Hydra people inside of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, so let's...
I see.
It's kind of unclear, but he was imprisoned by the United States.
Yeah.
Okay. That I didn't pick up on. But yeah.
Yeah, so let's have a little Marvel Comics history lesson about Isaiah Bradley.
Do it.
He was also known as Captain America, and a comic that came out in 2003. And the character was one of 300 African-American military men who took part in Project Rebirth, a project that tried to recreate the serum that turned Steve Rogers into a superhero. Of these hundreds of men, only Bradley remained. So,
and it's basically kind of like very much, not mirroring, but sort of like...
It's parallel to the Tuskegee.
Tuskegee.
Yeah, the Tuskegee syphilis study.
Right.
Yeah.
Which unfortunately was a real life study that the United States Public Health Service, they misled a group of African Americans with fake or misleading treatments, among other deeply unethical and horrific practices.
Fucking awful.
So Isaiah...
They don't teach that in the schools, at least not when I was growing up.
No. So Isaiah's story in the comics is pretty parallel with that of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Right.
So just as, the show we're seeing now sees John Walker become the new Captain America following Steve's decision to stay back past after Endgame. Isaiah took on the Captain America name in the comics after Steve was presumed dead. While the White Walker is being celebrated in the military, the African American Isaiah was sent to prison. In the comics, he's sent to prison for 17 years. In the show we're watching now, he says 30.
It's 30, yeah.
Yeah, so this obviously creates a huge dialogue with Sam and Bucky, and Sam is just like, how could you not tell me that there was a black super soldier?
Yeah, because Bucky knew the whole time.
Well, and the question I wanted answered, and it was answered very quickly, was did Steve know? And thank God
me too.
he didn't.
Thank God he didn't.
Allegedly.
I was so relieved.
Yeah, so this is like, you know, obviously very timely in, you know, what we've seen in the last couple of years with the current state of our world. And what follows, you know, the guys are chatting in the street, and almost immediately a cop car pulls up, and
then another one.
I held my breath. I was
same.
I was like, oh my God, something horrible. Like, and it's so sad to me that was my reaction.
Yeah, immediately. Almost immediately. I was like, oh boy, here we go.
Yeah, and so the cops get out and they're questioning them. They're saying, is there a problem here? Is he, you know, they you know, kind of motion to Sam and talk to Bucky and say, is he bothering you? And Bucky's like, no, we're just having a conversation. Everything's fine. And then Bucky says, do you know who he is? And the cop is like, oh my gosh.
Oh,
sorry,
whoops.
You're the Falcon. I'm sorry I didn't recognize you without your goggles.
Oh, embarrassing.
And then another cop car pulls up, and you're just extremely worried. There are neighbors coming outside to watch. And we learn in a few seconds that there is a warrant out for Bucky's arrest because he missed his mandatory therapy session.
Whoops.
The one that we've been chatting about already. So he gets handcuffed and placed in the cop car. And yeah, I feel for me, I didn't feel like I've read a lot of reviews of this episode, and a lot of people felt like this was like a little heavy-handed or on the nose. But I didn't at all, because it felt very much so like a real thing that you would see on the news.
100%. Yeah.
You know, they kind of eased their way into this section of the episode with there are two kids playing on the street, and
right.
one of the kids is like, "Oh, it's the Black Falcon," and
yeah, he's like, "Why did you call
Sam
me
is
that?"
like, "Why? It's just the Falcon, kid." And he's like,
"Because I'm just black." It's like,
and he's like, "Why? What's
like,
your
they call
name?
You Black Kid?
Black Kid?"
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and I mean, I personally, I wasn't like upset by like having kind of modern day political statements in a superhero show.
Not at all. Well, 'cause, I mean, the comics are known for, you know, sort of doing that in particular, you know.
Well, and what it does too is, at least at this moment, we're assuming Sam eventually becomes Captain America.
Yes.
And
right.
And it just puts it into kind of stark relief that Sam is dealing with that while also committing himself, at least some point down the road, to carrying on Steve's legacy as Captain America.
Right.
Yeah.
And for all America and all Americans.
Right. Yeah. And that's gotta weigh on him that he gets treated that way.
Yeah.
In a way that Steve never was.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty it's a ballsy move by Marvel, and I think it's really, really good that they're approaching, you know, inequality, and just going head on and not like pussyfooting around it. Like they're just like, this is the reality of our world, and
yeah, and we saw that in the first episode as well with Sam trying to help his family out and being denied a bank loan, and you know that obviously is commentary as well on, you know, the superhero financial situation and how every, post blip, how the world is dealing with things. But it was very clear in that scene, and his sister said like, this is not, you know what I mean? Like, we understand what's going on. Like,
yeah.
Well, yeah, and it's a comment also that when a disaster happens, so like the blip, obviously, it tightens the grip around minority communities.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, every hurricane that's come through Houston, it's always worse for minority communities.
Even COVID. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Financially and otherwise. So, I don't know if elegant is the right way, but I do think they've approached it in an elegant manner.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it didn't.
I mean, granted, we are obviously not people of color, but I mean,
No, but that's not even what I like. It's just I should say it's just well written.
Yes.
I don't feel like it was
like
heavy-handed,
and
it feels very much in line with Sam. It didn't come out of left field that all of a sudden he's worried about racial issues. Like it fits Sam.
No, absolutely. It feels realistic. Like it's not just wedged into the story to make a statement. Like it feels like it's actually like telling it's part of the story, and it's a very important, pivotal part of the story.
And this is what I've always loved about Captain America comics and the character himself. I'll say as a fan of Marvel, I love Iron Man because of Robert Downey Jr.
Sure.
But I love the Captain America character. And I have a couple friends who remember they saw the first movie and they're like, it's too hokey for me, too kind of on the nose, rah-rah. But that's kind of what I love about the Captain America movies we've gotten, and just the character in general, is that on the one hand, you have the embodiment of everything America can be,
right?
The ideal, the American dream, and that's embodied in Steve Rogers, and I love all of that, like
freedom, bravery, and
truth
and light.
And then on the other side of it, you have not only this racial issue now, and kind of the blemishes that exist, but and Winter Soldier and Civil War covers kind of the political elements of how much is too much government involvement, and when do we trade freedom for security? And Captain America like touches on every single timely
the
issue. And
realities
I feel like this.
Our
I feel like this series is only going to get better in that regard.
To me, I think is like one of the coolest things that stories like this can do. Because you can kind of see. Well, for me, like that's why I like superheroes. You know what I mean? Yeah. They are good and they are just, and they are fighting for the little guys, and they're fighting for the injustices. And so to get to see that happening with things that are very current for us now is great and amazing. Yeah. And I'm totally here for it.
And then I love that we haven't talked much about Zemo yet.
Yeah, I was just getting into that section.
We don't really know what his role is necessarily.
Yeah.
A delicious wine cooler.
Even from Zemo's perspective, his family was killed by the Avengers.
Yeah, right.
And nothing he does is excusable in any way.
Absolutely not.
But even the villains in this series have been negatively affected by superheroes.
Right.
Yeah.
And
they're not just doing it for the sake of being evil.
Right. And even and this is not even super related, but even going back to Thanos, it's like they all have a legit gripe.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And that's what has made it the more recent Marvel films and now the series so friggin' interesting, because you can never be 100% in one camp.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
Yes. You can be 98%, but there's like 2% of you that's like, Thanos has a point.
Well,
his methods are awful, and it's not even achievable what he wants to do if you want to be like a person with feelings. But you get it because his planet suffered.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it will be very interesting to see him in the Eternals, because I'm curious how they're gonna how they're gonna paint him in that, if he's gonna be, innately evil, or if he's it's developed over time.
Totes. So we chatted a little bit about the final confrontation with Walker, but Walker and Battlestar both like, we should work on this together. And like we said, like Sam and Bucky are like, we're free agents. Not. We're gonna do what we want. This would not make any sense for us to be working together. And Walker has like then don't get in my way. Don't even
fuck with
think
me.
about it. So upon that little interaction, they decide to go see Zemo, who we know is the villain mastermind from Captain America.
And what a delicious entrance for him. I just like the opera music in the background and
the chessboard.
Yeah,
exactly.
I know. I was like,
he's a master strategist. Like I saw the chessboard. It's like, oh, you're one of those guys. He's a savant.
I was like, this is a lovely. I mean, I know it's not the same, but I mean, it's very, very much, like Magneto.
Yes,
yeah, totally. So we enter into this like high security prison, and there we see Zemo for a split second, and
Star Wars fans, did you note? And we assume you're a Star Wars fan if you're listening to this. Did you note his cell number?
Yes.
No, I didn't.
2187, which is what Leia was confined
Leia's.
in. Also, it's Finn's Stormtrooper call number.
Yes.
FN 2187.
FN 2187.
Go.
It's all coming together. The tie-in is coming.
Tying it
We
up.
told you it's still a Star Wars podcast.
The great crossover event is coming.
Told you.
Please God, no.
Yeah, that's the meat of the episode.
We didn't talk about one important
go back.
Character. Isaiah's grandson.
Yes. Hello, Young Avengers. Hello.
Eli.
Oh, yes, of course.
Like
yes.
So how many Young Avengers have we got so far? We've got
got Wanda's kids.
Yeah, Wanda's kids.
Mm-hmm.
Wanda's boys.
Yeah, and then Eli is
Kate
known
Bishop.
as...
We're gonna get her.
Eli's known as the Patriot? Is that his...
Yes.
Okay,
And
cool.
he eventually... Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's a rumor that his story is like on the Disney Plus pipeline.
I think the show Ironheart, which is basically Iron Man's
predecessor.
Riri. She becomes Ironheart.
Oh, you know what's interesting, and I don't know like what it is, but when Disney re-announced their release dates because of all the pushing that's been happening because of COVID, they very quietly added another movie that nobody knew was happening. They didn't. It's an untitled film, but people were like, whoa, there's another one. So yeah, very curious to find out what that is.
Well, there's been some speculation. Maybe it's Deadpool 3.
Oh, that's interesting.
Maybe they moved Blade up.
But yeah, what if it's a Young Avengers thing? Oh, whoa.
That'd be cool.
I think it's a little too soon.
It might be too soon.
Maybe.
Well, you got to get it done soon because those kids
next
grow
year.
up very fast.
Correct. Well, they'll just recast him.
Yeah, very sad.
I would think like the next big Avengers thing, if Young Avengers is like, if that qualifies as the next kind of big Avengers thing, but that might close out Phase 4.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Phase 5, we then see maybe the adults.
I could see that. I could totally see that.
But who knows?
What was I gonna bring
a couple of little things that I noticed in the like pep rally Good Morning America segment that they do. That was the like a revamped version of the Alan Menken song.
Oh,
that was
yes,
in
the updated version.
The first Captain America movie. So that
where he
was
punches Hitler.
That man honestly does not write a bad song.
They're always catchy.
Yeah, he's good. He's
Very
good.
Very true.
More on the where the Good Morning America interview took place. Just sort of a, obviously staying true to the source material because Custer's Grove High School was where John Walker, aka U.S. Agent, went to school.
Oh, that's fun.
And also, I didn't know about this, but I saw this. That is the home of a cell of the Watchdogs, an extremist right-wing group investigated by Walker and Hoskins after they become Cap and Battlestar.
Oh, interesting.
So, don't know if we're going back there for something, but just interesting to know that the source material is some other stuff happens
Very
there.
Interesting.
Yeah, go ahead.
I also wanted to bring up too, Battlestar and John Walker, like they're in the comics. Battlestar is sort of like his like sidekick, so to speak, and there was like a lot of talk on the internet being like, oh boy, here we go again, like, you know, the white, like, you know, and then the black sidekick kind of thing. But then you look at Bucky and Sam being sort of being shown as equals in this show, with Sam eventually hopefully picking up the mantle of Captain America. I think it's interesting because they were kind of complaining that, like, oh, they're doing, but I think that they're potentially doing that on purpose to show the juxtaposition between the two.
Like a military hierarchy. And I believe Battlestar kind of comes to blows with U.S. Agent at some point in the comics. So I don't know if they explore all of that or take some of that, but I do think you're right, Daniel, that I think it's purposeful to show that the difference in dynamics between the two pairs.
For sure.
Yeah. There's totally they're commenting on the racial disparity there for sure, I think. Yeah.
Yep. One thing that I noticed and then looked it up and I was like, I knew it had to be something, you stinkers. Was at the Flag Smashers safe house, there were stickers everywhere that said Hauser. And Harry Hauser, as like the Marvel host of the Hauser Report, which is a radio talk show. And in the comics, he criticizes Sam after he becomes Captain America. So that's
very
interesting.
Also, Mary Hauser was my choir director when I was in church.
It's
all coming together.
That's absolutely what that was referencing.
Marvel superheroes. Hey, Mary, how are you?
Hi,
I know
Mary.
You listen to the podcast. She doesn't. She absolutely doesn't.
Love your work.
Oh, wowza. Those are all the Easter eggs that
Mary
I
Hauser
found.
literally used to charge us $1 if we stopped smiling.
Oh, Mary.
She sure did.
Well.
Those were intense times. This is just like giving you little nuggets so you understand why I am the way I am.
I'm putting it all together. I have a file on you. That I'll be putting this.
It makes sense though, right?
Do you have a separate savings account that you put $1 in every time you don't smile?
Yes. I'm rich.
Daniel, that's actually a great idea, Alyssa. You should have Daniel, you should have a savings account. Every time you mention like a bodily function, you have to put $1 in your savings account.
You will be so
you can
rich
retire.
in 5
I will
minutes.
literally retire.
You will retire by
40.
the end of this year.
Yeah,
you will definitely be able to buy a house, in a couple of weeks.
I mean, my God.
Wow.
Yeah, just consider it.
Yeah.
Oh, you know
Passing
what?
thought I had. What?
Oh, sorry. I was going to say that
there
was
go for
also a license plate that was the same license plate that we saw in WandaVision, and I'm trying to.
Really?
Yeah, I
didn't see
remember
that.
seeing.
Here we
I
go.
didn't recognize it at first, and I
Was it Mephisto's
Mephisto.
car?
Yeah.
It's Mephisto's car. You're right. It is. Oh my God.
We have to bring him up. We are gonna have to bring him up on
hexagonal-shaped license plate.
We have to bring him up on even on Star Wars days. We have to bring
That's
him
right.
up.
We have to.
Yeah.
Mephisto is. Hold on a second.
So it probably was just like a Marvel birthday or something.
Yeah, it's
right?
like, isn't that cute? Oh God.
Dino, what were you saying while Daniel is searching for his license plate?
This isn't related to anything that's currently happening in the show.
Okay.
It's not even so much a theory. But I've been wondering about the status of Red Skull.
Ooh.
If you remember, he's Captain America's chief villain and the founder of Hydra.
Right.
When he placed his hands on the Tesseract, it transported him across the galaxy and put him basically in charge of overseeing the Soul Stone. And so once the Soul Stone was returned, first destroyed, before Steve went back and returned all of them. he was freed from his job as the keeper of the Soul Stone.
Oh, really?
And the Russo brothers confirmed that he is free to kind of go do what he wants to do.
Get the hell out.
Uh-oh.
Oh, my God.
Uh-oh.
So where is Red Skull?
That's fun. Oh, I'm sure
And
he's just
also-
retired. He's just super
Right.
happy to be...
Ex-Nazi. He's just he's probably in Argentina with the rest of
Yeah,
them.
that's where they always go. You're right.
Number one, I want to see the movie where Steve goes and puts all of the stones back.
I do too.
That'd
I feel
be-
like that'd be
that'd be
so
pretty cool.
Because what happens when he shows up on Vormir and he's
Right.
walking up and has got his briefcase and he's like, the hell are you doing here?
Yep, just returning something we took. Thanks.
And how does Red Skull feel after spending 80 years as a bodiless keeper of the stone? Look, he wouldn't be alive if he wasn't going to be used later on.
Sure.
I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah, that feels very safe.
And it will
to
be a
say.
Captain America-like property. So
Yeah,
I'm not
thought
saying
about
it's the
him.
series.
I hadn't thought about him at all, but I watched all the Captain America movies in preparation for this series, and yeah, I had that thought pop into my head of he's
around.
He's around.
He's been inside us the whole time.
Oh, I hope not. It's scary to have him inside us.
Ew. Gross.
Yuck. Did you find out your license plate number?
I didn't. I'm still looking like a
Oh,
stupid
wow.
idiot. I swear Mephisto is in here somewhere.
It was the X-Men.
It's Quicksilver.
Well, also Isaiah's grandson Eli, he uses in the comics to enhance himself. He uses a mutant growth hormone.
Right. They're like basically pills, right? Maybe
There will be
potentially.
this time there will be actual X-Men ties.
Yeah.
Like they'll be
Sure.
very loose. They're going to locations, but it's coming. I think WandaVision, we just expected WandaVision to pick up too many threads,
Yeah, of course. Of
Oh,
course.
so you're
which
thinking
it had
that
no
maybe
business
this,
picking all of them up. But
like this, in their attempts to recreate the super soldier serum, they like accidentally created the thing that's going to unlock the mutant gene in everybody.
somebody suggested, and I don't believe this, but it was just creative, that they were talking about John Walker's like test scores, how his body is off the charts, and his reflexes and his intelligence is super high. Somebody suggested he's a mutant and doesn't know it.
Oh, okay, that's believable. If he's
was
not,
like,
if
that
he's
would
not
be, like,
currently a
super
super
cool.
soldier, I would believe that he's a mutant.
Like that would be a really cool introduction if that's how they introduce mutants.
Because
It's
I
like
mean,
they've been
you look the
among
way
us.
that he throws that freaking
it looks like Steve.
shield. He already looks
it
like he's a
looks
super
really
soldier.
strong.
I don't think it is that, but that would be super clever.
But his strength and his reflexes
was
is
already a
just a
mutant.
little too much for a normal person.
Yeah. And I'm wondering, there are other people that my mom immediately was like, he's helping the Flag Smashers.
Oh yeah, okay, so great. So he thinks okay. I'm
Yeah,
you're,
my mom thinks that, and she thought that like in episode 1.
Yeah,
And I was
yeah.
like,
No, I'm automatically sus of him, but I do think that he's that him and Battlestar like know about the super soldier like program.
Yeah, I don't know if that. I'm straddling the fence here. I don't think they're helping the
Straddle.
Flag Smashers because John Walker is supposed to be.
They know
like,
more than they're letting on at the very least.
Sure, yes. But I think he's Steve on steroids in the sense like he's advancing America's interests, and America's interests are not an abolition of borders. It is quite the opposite. And
Right.
so I don't think John Walker is aiding them, but if like he himself wants the serum for some
Yeah,
reason,
yeah.
then yeah, maybe it's kind of withholding information and. But I think his villainous qualities are going to be that he is so intent on advancing America's interests that he kind of doesn't care what the collateral is.
Well, it's funny too because they're. I mean, I think I'm sure that they're doing this just to sort of juxtapose, like to
juxtapose.
Yes, to
juxtaposing.
Yes, juxtaposing. To show the side by side comparison between the OG Captain America and this guy. But like the scene when they're in the jail and he's like bailing them out and you can see him in the background sort of like signing autographs and like being like, oh hey, blah blah blah, it's just like and that's not something that like the original Captain America would even care, not necessarily care about, but I mean he's like he wouldn't like go out of his way to like he didn't care as much about the glitz and glamour of it all. He was just, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean an interesting thing to watch will be how John Walker handles the pressure, because you can see he's under immense pressure.
Sure.
And they took the time to establish that.
Yeah.
Which I'm really glad they did.
And they gave him a love interest, which he doesn't have in the comics. So that further humanizes him. And
true.
He just wants to do a good job. So does just wanting to do a good job mean he'll do anything to do a good job?
Right.
Sort of thing. And
that's what I'm worried about.
He's going to make a mess.
Yeah, I think so.
That real heroes are going to have to probably fix.
Yep. But then that means more heroes.
The real heroes.
More heroes.
You're the real hero, Dina
all in all, I thought that this episode really got us into the world of this storytelling more so than the first episode.
We're already a third of the way in through the show.
No.
Gosh.
That's terrible. Well, it was not. We thought maybe it was going to be a little bit longer, but with credits, it was the same length as the first episode. 49 minutes.
Look, I'm loving this runtime. I think it's perfect.
Yeah, it's great.
Same. Totally same.
Thought Wanda was a little short.
Same.
This is perfect.
Yeah.
This is perfect.
But it's super fun and
expensive
like,
looking.
Very expensive. Just like Wanda, it's really nice to like have something to look forward to every week.
I'm so confused. So like, because am I crazy by saying that this show seems like it looks more expensive than WandaVision, but WandaVision was more expensive?
I mean, it rivals WandaVision in cost, but they spent, I think, it does. I mean, they got a Marvel movie budget on this, so I mean, I think it just looks more expensive because they really, I think more of the money went to the action shots, the CGI.
You can clearly tell.
I mean, that first episode alone, where he's
my gosh,
outrunning the helicopters, it's like, oh my god, this is every Marvel movie ever.
The truck fighting scene, that could not have been cheap.
Yeah.
No,
it's very clear what they're spending their money on in this one.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Neato.
Well, do you have any other thoughts and feelings before we wrap this mother up?
Well, I had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for breakfast today.
Oh, okay.
I toasted it first, though, which is really, that's the key. That's the key to making it delicious.
Do you really toast peanut butter and jelly?
I do too.
Oh, you've never done that? Oh, it's so good.
This sounds like heathen behavior.
No. Do it. Toast your toast and then
I don't
put your
want,
peanut butter
like,
and jelly on it.
peanut butter and jelly
soft?
warm.
No,
you what?
It's good.
I don't want it warm.
Well, you can just wait for the toast to cool
sandwich.
then. But it's that crunch, bitch. It's that
Sorry,
crunch.
you guys do that one wrong. I'm going to have to call somebody. You do that wrong.
Well, on that note.
Completely unrelated.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to go see Godzilla versus King Kong.
my God!
And
we were just talking about it, Daniel
I don't care. I'm going to have so much fun.
Oh, literally, like the reviews all say that they're actually good reviews, and they say that
I know it has almost an 80 on Rotten Tomatoes.
I think it basically just says like it delivers on its title, which is exactly correct. Like it's you know what you're getting. It's gonna be.
We just lost Alyssa as well.
I'm still here.
Okay.
My video went away, but my audio's. This is a podcast, so they don't know.
No, we can hear the fact that your video is gone. I can hear it in your
Well,
voice.
to all of you listening, Daniel, Alyssa, and I are going to be in the same city once more starting next week.
Yeah.
Yay!
And we're gonna be fully vaccinated probably by beginning of May now, I guess.
Well, we will be in the... Well, Dino's good to go already. Daniel's getting...
I am.
Daniel and I are getting our second shots on the...
22nd.
I'm on the 21st. Daniel's on the 22nd.
That's right, you lucky little turd. I'm going to try to get the 15th because I can, but I just don't
we will
know.
be, thankfully, in the clear to be in each other's presence on May the 4th, which is incredible
What
news.
an amazing thing that is.
And I mentioned this to you guys in the text. I'm not going to spoil it for our listeners, but we're going to do a very special ceremony.
Yeah, we've got a good plan going, and
yes.
It's so exciting.
The Ewok, all the Ewok movies are coming to Disney Plus on April 2nd.
Oh my God.
So look out for our reactions to that.
We definitely
will
will
have
be doing
several.
that. Yes.
My word.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for listening. This is Inside the Tauntaun, a Star Wars podcast.
It is?
It is, even though we're talked about Marvel today. I'm Alyssa Simmons.
And I'm Daniel Dawson.
And I'm Dino Nicandros.
May the Force be with you.
Always.
I love you 3000.